Hey hippies, welcome back. Super excited to have you guys here today because we have part 2 of the mold making series. Before we get started, make sure you do hit that subscribe button if you aren't subscribed yet, and also hit that notification bell so that way you don't miss anything that I do put out for you guys moving forward. Alright, so what we're going to do to start is we're just going to prep our materials. I have a spatula, a spoon, some cups, a scale, these bowls, along with the silicone mix and some pigments as well. So what I'm going to do to start out is I'm going to first go ahead and get this silicone mix open and everything. I am actually using a 2-part silicone mix, and it has a 10-to-1 ratio. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to first be measuring out the amount of silicone mix that I'll be needing. So I'm just going to scoop that into this cup that I have here. Alright, now this is what the silicone looks like before you add the catalyst or anything. I just have it sitting here in this little cup and everything. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to turn on the scale, make sure it's zeroed out, and then I'm going to pour this silicone into my bowl on top of the scale, so that way I know how much silicone mix I have here, and I'm using grams just because it's a bit easier for me to keep my eye on personally. I just like working with grams. I know some people use ounces. Just make sure that you have your ratios right with the whole 10-to-1 thing. So I'm just scraping at the sides of that, making sure I get as much of it out as I can. And then what I'm going to do next is just kind of prep the catalyst. Now I had to kind of reweigh this so that you guys can see what's going on and whatnot. So the amount that the stuff end up weighing after I poured everything in was approximately about 170 grams. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding in about 17 grams of the catalyst. So you're going to see me actually pour it into this little cup first, and then from there I'm going to just slowly pour and add it on until I get it to the amount that I need and everything. Once I have that added in, what I'm going to do is go ahead and remove it from the scale and just use my same spatula and just get that mixed in very, very well. Take your time and make sure you also scrape at the edges. You want to do your best to prevent any bubbles. This particular silicone mix, it's supposed to degas on its own and everything, but it's my first time using it, so we'll see how it turns out and whatnot. But I'm really liking how thick it is. It looks like it's going to hold the resin very, very well, like once it cures and whatnot. So I'm super excited to see how this turns out at the end. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and get that mixed up really, really well. This does have a pretty high working time as well. If you guys are interested in this particular brand, it's not an Amazon brand, but if you're interested, just leave a comment below. I'll be more than happy to reach out to the dealer and everything and see if I can get something worked out. And of course, if I am, I'll be more than happy to, let y'all know. But from here, what I'm doing is after I finish getting mixed, I'm going to just add half into a different bowl. This is just to kind of separate them so I can mix the colors and everything. So don't worry about any amounts or anything like that. You can eyeball it and it's going to be completely fine for this portion. Now what I'm going to do from here is I'm just going to be adding just a bit of the pigment that I have. into each bowl. One, I am going to be doing a shimmery purplish pink color, and the other bowl is going to be a deeper purple hue that still has a shimmery mix to it, and it's really beautiful. So I love how like these colors are, and they represent my, you know, Boujie Hippie branding and everything. So I'm super excited to work with them. You guys know I love making sure that I brand everything and it looks like a Boujie Hippie Courtney Shavante product. So that's what I'm doing here. And also I feel like, you know, everyone's not really showing how to mix the colors and everything, so I want to make sure that you guys knew how to do that as well. Just make sure that you don't use more than 10% of the pigment to the amount of silicone that you're using, or you may have some curing issues. So what you see me doing here is just, you know, the same thing I did with that lighter color. I'm just mixing it up really well and making sure that all the pigment is thoroughly mixed in. So that way we can go ahead and go on to the next step. Alright hippies, now that all that is mixed up and everything, what you're going to do is you're just going to prepare your acrylic blank and housing. Take one of those silicone mixtures, it doesn't really matter which one, and you're just going to take your spatula and add on a beauty layer. That basically just means you're going to be pressing the silicone mixture into the etching, because it is very likely that it will hold the bubbles if you do not, just because of, you know, how it's made and everything. So this will help you press the silicone into the actual etching, so that way when you are pouring your resin into the silicone mold later, everything kind of transfers over beautifully. Be sure to, you know, get into all those little nooks and crannies. Anywhere you feel like a bubble may, you know, pop up at is where you want to pour extra attention into. And once you finish with that beauty layer, you can go ahead and start pouring the remaining of that silicone mixture right into your silicone blank and housing. So if you remember the previous video, which I'll make sure I do link above for you as well, you will remember how I was saying, you know, you want to make sure that you're able to pour directly into the housing. So this is why the housing is so important with the acrylic blank. So that way you can pretty much just pour everywhere. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to scrape at the sides and everything, make sure I get all that silicone out, because I want to make sure I use it all and everything, and fill this housing up completely to the rim. So you want to make sure that it's filled completely to the rim, because it's going to make it easier when you demold and pull it from the housing, so that way you actually have something to grab at. Because it's like, if it's like sitting inset, you're gonna have a hard time pulling this from the mold once it finishes casting. So yeah, just go ahead and continue on adding in all that silicone. If you want to, you can also grab a toothpick and kind of swirl the pattern. I did that off camera, so I did miss that, but you see me do it with resin plenty of times. Just take your toothpick and swirl the colors into each other, just to create some interesting stuff going on. And then I'm just going to put this housing onto a level surface, and then allow that the 24 hours to cure. Now sometimes it does cure faster, but it does recommend a full 24 hours, just to make sure that everything's up and ready to go. So I totally recommend that you guys do the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this off to the side, let it sit, and I'll be right back with you guys showing you the final step. Alright hippies, so like I was telling you earlier, my thing was a little inset because I didn't put enough silicone in there, so I was having those issues. So I lifted a corner up off camera, and now I'm just pulling this from the acrylic blank so I can go ahead and release my silicone mold. Be careful, try not to scratch your blank or scratch the front surface of that mold with your nails or anything like that. I do recommend using gloves for this portion, so do as I say, not as I do. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and continue pulling this off and put that housing off to the side. And this right here is going to be our finished product. She is very, very beautiful. I can't wait to make some castings with her. I love how the design and the pattern turned out. I love how these colors look. And I'm super excited to see what you guys make with her as well. Make sure you check out my Etsy shop. She'll be available there very, very soon, so that way you guys can start making whatever you want. If you like this video, make sure you leave me a thumbs up and a comment. I love hearing from you guys. And until next time, hippies, XO. Mwah.